Hello.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. We are so excited you have joined us for Pink Possibilities. And I know that if someone invited you here, it means that you have some really awesome qualities. And you may not even realize, I think one of the coolest things, right, ladies, is like we don't always see what people see in us. And so if they haven't already told you how awesome you are, we're just going to reiterate that to you. But I'm Amy. We got Annika and Cindy in the house today. So we just want you guys to feel like you are having a coffee chat, right? So if you already have, I got my tea, I got my water. So if you don't already have something, get cozy. I just want to encourage you that if you got kids running around in the background, or you got some, you're at the ball field and you got your earplugs on, like, just take a little walk and like be present. But we want you to feel like you are just, walking, like walking through the neighborhood with your girlfriend, or sitting on the couch at the coffee shop with your girlfriend. But I do encourage you to become present, because sometimes people don't ask us, even our best friends, these thought-provoking questions to make us think about our life a little bit more. And, I'll be honest, I want you to be a little uncomfortable, because when we get a little uncomfortable, then that's usually what prompts us to make changes for our better, for our life and our family and our futures. So the first thing I want to just start off with is asking you a question. On your season, in your season currently right now, what do you want more of? Or what do you need more of, right? Sometimes there's a need that we need. Sometimes there's a desire that we know that we're longing for, and we haven't even been like honest, or we've kind of sadly given up on that because we've just kind of settled and we think, well, I did have dreams, but I got to pay the bills. And so you just kind of get into that mode. And so I just want us to be able to kind of inhale a new thought today and exhale some dreams and some hopes, because when we have hope for our future, man, we start living differently, truly. So, all right, so let's go ahead and get started. So put that in the chat if you haven't. What do you want or need more of in your life right now? Also, let us know who invited you, and where are you from? Where are you from? I think it's cool. We're from all over, which we'll hear about. So, why don't we just say hi real quick before we get started? I'm Amy Allgood, National Sales Director from Shalimar, Florida. Annika?
Annika Krafka, National Sales Director from Grand Island, Nebraska.
Cindy Shepa, Top Director from Lindale, Texas.
Woo! So see, we're like all over the map. I love it. All right. Well, I am so excited, Annika, my girlfriend. That color, I was like, you did that design thing, you have all the right colors, because green always just looks amazing on you. But it's so great. I've had
color
so
analysis. Yeah. Have you done your color analysis, Annika?
I did a long time ago, like
it's
9 years ago, actually.
It's back. Like, it's so popular.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so then I redid it, and I've done it 3 times, and all 3 times I get the same result. So I'm a winner.
Yes, I love it.
I love it. Cindy gifted me actually this new lips I'm wearing. I'm trying to get used to it. So I'm like definitely changing some stuff up. But so Annika, I'm just so excited. I have loved getting to know you over these last few years. You're always so much fun. And your mom, I just think it's such a sweet story, and she'll tell you a little bit more, so I won't spoil it, but her mom is also in Mary Kay. So they are a powerful mother-daughter team. Not only mom is in Mary Kay, but they are both at that top level of our company, which is just so cool and so special. So Annika, tell us a little bit about you, and just where were you when Mary Kay found you? What season of life, and what made you say yes?
Oh gosh, 22 years ago is when I started my Mary Kay journey. I was in college at the University of Nebraska in Lincoln, and just that typical busy college student. I was going to school full time. I was working full time between 2 different part-time jobs, and I was newly engaged. And I always say, when you think about being engaged 22 years ago, it looked a lot different. We didn't have Pinterest and all these different ideas right there at your fingertips. So I was like a bridezilla. I was making all of these big decisions for this wedding, big decisions, right? Like how your napkins should be folded. I remember like the day my mom called me, I was overwhelmed because I had to work and I was trying to keep up on school, and I was driving to Omaha to a linen store to figure out how I wanted to have my napkins folded. So an hour drive, you guys. How crazy is this to think about? So I was just totally overwhelmed. And when she called me that morning, I was venting to her about how overwhelmed I was. And she just goes, well, you could always do Mary Kay. that was always her little magical solution for anything. And it was the last thing I wanted to hear. And so I said, yeah, right. And I hung up the phone and I called my husband and I said, okay, this lady's crazy. There's no way I can make the extra $1,000 that I know I need in my budget right now just by selling Mary Kay. And he just goes, Annika, your mom makes 10 times that. What do you think she does? Sells drugs? And I thought, okay, well, she's driving around in a pink Cadillac. It's pretty good evidence that she's doing Mary Kay. I'll just try this. And I really thought I was going to fall flat on my face. But I knew if I didn't at least try it, she'd always be mentioning, wow, you can always do Mary Kay. You can always do Mary Kay. And so that was in August, 22 years ago. So I'm coming up on my 23rd anniversary. And I kicked it off just by working Mary Kay 6 hours a week. You know, 3 parties a week was my plan. My mom told me you can have anything you want in Mary Kay if you work 3 parties a week. I still think that that's true today. So I just worked it 3 parties a week alongside with everything else and earned my car in 3 months and became a sales director 2 months after that and have loved my life in Mary Kay. I would have been a sales director forever, but I knew at some point for the family security that we get, I wanted to become a national sales director. So in 2016, my mom and I both set the goal to become national sales directors that year. And so we did it. We were the 11th mother-daughter national sales directors in company history. So
You all debuted at the same time?
we didn't debut the same year. We debuted the same calendar year. So I debuted June 1st. So I debuted on stage and then we came back the next year and she debuted because she just debuted in December.
That is
So awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Exciting. It was fun. And, you know, in 22 years, life catches up with you. You know, I had no kids. I was a full-time college student. I married that guy I was engaged to, and we still like each other. So we have 3 daughters now, and we're currently driving our 11th Mary Kay car, the 2023 Pink Escalade. So I always say my theme has been over these years, like with the 3 daughters in the pink car, it's about as close to the Barbie dream house you can get. So that's kind of my gig in Mary Kay.
I love it.
So you were engaged, 20 years old. Were you a sophomore in college?
I was a sophomore in college. Yes.
Working 2 jobs. So when you joined Mary Kay, did you automatically quit those 2 jobs or did you wait before you quit those 2 jobs?
No, my first month in Mary Kay, that August, I made more holding 3 parties a week with Mary Kay than I did working my 2 part-time jobs, 40 hours. And so that was my last month I ever worked for someone else. I said, okay, they can't afford me anymore. And I really, really, really wanted to have some more flexibility in my life. So
I love that. I love that so much. So let's talk about that flexibility because you have worked this through so many seasons in your life, from being a college student, getting married, working 2 other jobs, to building a Mary Kay business just by putting this product on people's faces 3 times a week, right? 6 hours a week, right? And that was before all the virtual that we have now, you know, so there's even more flexibility in how you work your business right now than when you were, you know, 22 years ago. And then, and you got married and then you started popping out some babies.
right.
And now you have young children or young daughter, but then you have a adult daughter too. So it's just been every like season of life really, except for empty nesters yet. Yeah.
I'm not ready for that yet.
Not grandma yet. Not grandma yet.
Well, I will tell you, you know, the seed was really planted because I saw my mom join Mary Kay my junior year in high school. And I saw her go from the mom who worked in corporate America and really had a big corporate job and was not really home and really present for a lot of our activities for most of my growing up life. And then I saw that transition when she joined Mary Kay and really started living God first, family second, and career third, like our company teaches you. And she was there and it felt totally different. And so that seed was already kind of planted in my heart.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it yet. I was going to school. I was going to go to law school after I graduated. That was my plan. And my best friend's sister had just graduated from law school, and she was having to bill 55 hours a week and then all of her prep time on top of that. So my wheels were already spinning where I'm going. Gosh,
How does family fit into this? Yeah.
What do I want this to look like? What do I want this to feel like? And I was already starting to have some, be a little bit stressed about that decision. And then when my mom said, you could always do Mary Kay, it kind of gave me a way to just try it. And so I just dove in and I thought, okay, I'm going to do 3 parties a week, work Mary Kay 6 hours a week. And when I loved it when I was in college, I could sit down every single Sunday night and say, okay, life, what do you got? And it wasn't like, what are my employer's priorities? It was really, what are my priorities? If it was my sister's birthday that week and I wanted to run back home to go to dinner with her that night, I could. It was important to me where it probably wouldn't have been important to an employer. So I love that when I was in college. Plus the extra income that I had when I was in college, we went to every away football game our senior year. I mean, that was fun. So just lots of fun choices. Then when we got married, we were able to move anywhere. My husband took a job 2,000 miles away because we could. There were no territories with my Mary Kay business. And so we moved across the country to Pennsylvania to give my husband that opportunity. Lived there for a couple years, had our first baby, and brought her home from the hospital in a pink Cadillac. And I was, just talking to a friend the other day that, she graduated from high school last year and just finished up her first year in college. And it was just such a great feeling to know I was there every step of the way. There was not one single thing that I had to miss, because that the days may be long, but the years are fast.
Yeah.
Right? And I feel like it was like this fast to get her from that new baby in the infant carrier that I'm putting in the back of the pink Cadillac to loading my pink Cadillac with everything and dropping her off at college. I mean, it was just like I blinked my eyes a couple times. And so, that was really what I wanted out of my Mary Kay business, was to really be able to decide, what do I want my life to look like and what do I want it to feel like? Do I want to feel like I have the time to be there for my kids? I can be at all of their activities. But I also love the balance of running a business. Gosh, there's times where there's dishes in my sink and I get to say, okay, I can't handle this. I'm going down to my office to run my multi-million-dollar organization. You got the kitchen, right? I really feel like it is the best of both worlds, to where we get to be home and present. I always say I'm a work from home mom, not a stay-at-home mom.
Right.
Because we get to escape some of those unfun things if we choose to. But also just the lessons that your kids pick up when they see you working a home-based business is something that, and really, I would argue a Mary Kay business, because really just the Christian foundation that our company has, that God first, family second, career third. But for them to see that firsthand, what it takes to build a successful life.
Right.
It's
and
not what's taught, right? I mean, for your kids.
Right. And when they were infants, it was important because that was important for my mama heart, that I was able to be there for every little thing. If they had an ear infection, I didn't have to answer to somebody else that it wasn't coming in that day, But then as they got older, like that's when I felt like I really needed to be there with them to really know what's going on. And to not only, know my kids, but also to know their friends. Yeah. And to have relationships with the people that they're doing life with. And, looking back, I've realized how important that was.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think as you were talking, I think about this next generation that's coming up, and so many of them are so grounded in what they want, and they are thinking about their priorities. They're thinking ahead down the road about, I want a family. I want a marriage. I want to be, this type of mom. And I think that, we do live our life forward, but we understand it backwards. So Annika, speak to that a little bit, because you fast forward now. So speaking to women now that are thinking about that, and again, whether you're someone, listening and you were like Annika's mom and you're having a 17-year-old going, wait a minute, I don't want to miss out on anymore. I need to make a big change. And I'm sure that's part of what, your mom had to do, step out in faith doing that. Or someone who's younger, who's just already thinking about her future and so clear on wanting to do that, because we have all three experience. A lot of women that we've mentored have a lot of regret because they did not design their life. And so when somebody else is making those choices, like you said, you wanted to go out of town for something, and that wouldn't have been important for an employee, but it was important to you. And I think that's really the biggest difference when someone works for somebody else and somebody works for themselves. Like, you are designing that life. You are making those choices. So can you speak a little bit to what do you think are some of those regrets that someone would miss out if they don't take a path like this?
Right. Well, I will tell you, the hard thing for women today is for them to think, I'm starting something small. Everybody wants to step in after it's already built. So I think that's the hard thing, is for women to say, I'm starting something from the ground up. But the beautiful part about this is, yes, you're starting your own business from the ground up, but we have a proven road track to run on. I mean, this company's been around for well over 60 years, and all the groundwork has been laid for you. We're the #1 brand of skincare and color cosmetics in the direct selling industry worldwide. And so it is a household name. Which is so important, because this day and age, there's so many fraudulent things out there. People want that security of like, but what is this? Right. And so, but it is, I always say, once you're in that pink Cadillac stage where you walk through the grocery store parking lot, people like flock to you and say, oh my gosh, I thought about doing Mary Kay 25 years ago and I just didn't have the time. Oh gosh, I just wish I would have. And where would I be today? You hear those conversations all the time. And it just hurts my heart, because I know how overwhelmed I was when I started Mary Kay. And I just thank God every day that instead of going, gosh, I already don't have time for what I have in my schedule right now, how could I add one more thing? I'm so thankful that I went, I'm going to add one more thing, because I can't live like this forever.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm so thankful that I went that route. And a little bit of it might've been that, mind thought process training that my mom had been speaking into me, in Mary Kay, as a Mary Kay kid. But yeah, it could have been so different. But, I know my story was, I was a college student when I joined Mary Kay, but Amy, I know your story was a lot different. So where did Mary Kay find you?
Well, I realized really quickly when I started in soon after college in corporate America, and I was the girl who was very ambitious and thought I'd be the CEO of the company and be there forever. But I also knew I wanted a family and I wanted kids. And I saw probably within 6 months of corporate, there was a woman there who left and came back after maternity leave. That's why she left. And so I've then been working there a little over a year, probably about a year and a half. And I just remember that she put in her notice just a few weeks after being back. And I was shocked, because in my mind at that time, success was about how much money you're making, what title you had, all that. And when she said, get out while you can, I was like, what? And I was shocked. I'm like, what are you saying? She goes, I know you. And I had a serious boyfriend at the time who also worked there, and she knew. So I was thinking about my future a lot at that time. And I just thought, there's no way. I mean, I would literally leave my apartment in the dark, come home in the dark, go to the apartment gym, watch American Idol while I cooked dinner, made my lunch the next day, and then went to bed and did it all over again. I mean, I was at work 8 to 10 hours a day. There was no life or anything else. And I didn't want that. I wanted to be able to, meet a friend or join a Bible study, or, when I did have kids, go to a play date or do that. And so I just saw that life. So it does, same thing, makes my heart sad when I see people think there's going to be a better time, or especially people that don't have kids yet. I'm like, girl, you will never be less busy than you are, right? But we don't know what we don't know. So, but I do think that women, young generations, old generations right now are craving mentorship. And I think coming into Mary Kay, getting the best mentorship, those life skills that you talked about, was really priceless. And when you were talking, this Bible verse came to mind about how people are scared. The most thing, women want to start with something big and they don't want to start with the small things. Zechariah 4:10, do not despise these small beginnings, for the Lord rejoices to see the work begin, to see the plumb line in the hand. But it's the thing, like we shouldn't just, if we are following God's word and want to honor his promises and what he says, is we shouldn't, he rejoices when we start something small, not despises it. So how different the world sees it versus what God says about it. So, all right, well, Cindy, let's talk a little bit. Let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about the income, and we'll have Annika, and then we'll kind of wrap it up and tell them if they do want to increase their income or increase their impact or increase their design of their life. We'll tell them how to do it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Annika, the reality for the majority of women, let's just be real, right? Especially in this day and age and this economy, is that we need extra streams of income. That's just a smart thing, right? To have extra streams of income. So can you share how we can make our money and with our Mary Kay business and the multiple streams of income that we have in Mary Kay?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I will tell you, when I started Mary Kay, my mom was a successful Mary Kay sales director, and she always, anytime we asked for product, we had to give her referrals. Okay, so if we needed a mascara, she's like,
brilliant.
$1 a name is what you get. So if I needed some skincare, I had to come up with some people, right? And so it's so funny. So, and I thought nothing of it back in the day, right? That's just how she did it. So when I started, I had referred everybody to her. So my first concern was okay, well, who am I going to start with? I've given her everybody that I know and their dog. I don't know who I'm going to find. But there were two girls that I went to college with the semester before, and we were in a group project together. That's the only reason I had their phone numbers. Okay. And so
you hadn't given them to your mom yet.
Right. Because we really weren't friends. We were more like acquaintances. Just we did this project. Yeah. So I called these two girls up and I said, hey, I started Mary Kay. I'm looking for some women to practice on. I had this really corny script if you let me borrow your face, I promise I'll give it back to you. Yeah. But they were willing to try the product because they could earn some free products. And so they got together with me and they brought their friends. And so those two girls plus their friends was 8 college students. Okay. So we got together, and at that first appointment, 7 of them started on the skincare. So wow. In an hour and a half, I sold over $800 in product. And I profited $400. And I remember, because we make 50%. And wow. I remember leaving that appointment and I called my mom and I said, okay, I just made $400 in an hour and a half. I kept all my clothes on. I didn't do anything illegal. Where else can I make this kind of money? And she goes, just repeat. And so I remember being so excited about that. Little did I know that those 7 skincare customers would stick with me forever. Yeah. Every 3 to 4 months for years and years and years, they come back and repurchase their product. So at 10 years, I thought, it'd be fun to track down those 7 skincare customers and see how much they purchased. I had profited over $10,000 in 10 years on those 7 skincare customers.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? Now I said I'm going to do it again in 20 years, but I haven't done it. Okay. I haven't gone back at 20 years to track them. I need to do it again and say, okay, where are these skincare customers because they're all still using the product. And the fun thing is they're getting older now. So now I've upgraded them from the original time-wise set to now they're all using the repair.
Yep.
So that number is going to go crazy.
Yep.
But making 50% on everything that you sell and 50% of your reorders,
huge.
That's huge. That's the largest direct sales commissions out there. But yeah, that's a little bit about how that works. And then to have unlimited opportunity for advancement. And for you to decide, I always say when you work for someone else, usually you have to wait for someone to die or retire to get a promotion. In Mary Kay, whenever you're ready for that promotion, you can do the work to get there. And so myself, I quickly knew I wanted to move into leadership. And so I became a sales director 5 months within, after I joined Mary Kay. But at that position of becoming a Mary Kay sales director, we have more women who make a 6-figure income in that position than any other company in America. So, I love that women can start because they want something little, something like a side hustle where they just maybe work a couple of hours a week to make $500 to $600 of extra income. But I also love that women can come in because they want it all. They're all in type of women and they want, to drive the pink Cadillac and make the 6-figure income. And then we have the national sales director position. And at that level, we've had women make over $1 million a year. Mm-hmm. So what I love about Mary Kay is you don't have to fit a mold.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not like to be in Mary Kay, you have to look like this. You have to talk. No, you don't have to fit a mold. It's really what you want out of your Mary Kay business. You can come in for a little or you can come in for a lot, but you're the one that gets to make that decision. So to me, that's such an empowering opportunity. So, but Cindy, tell me, did you come into Mary Kay because you wanted a little bit or did you come in because you wanted a lot? I know you found a lot, but
yeah. I came in because I wanted to get out of debt. And so I was not thinking, I did think though, I was young and single too. I was not as young as you. I was 27. So I was teaching school and I knew that I didn't want to teach. I wasn't called to teach the rest of my life. And I knew that I wanted to be able to stay home with my kids, but still have adult time. And so when I started this business, it really was to make an extra $100 a week to pay down my debt because I could only pay the minimum balance with my teaching salary. And that doesn't get you very far. And it didn't matter how hard I worked as a teacher or how many hours, I would make the same amount of money as the girl that went home when the kids went home. So I love that with Mary Kay, what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. If you just want a little bit of extra shoe money, just put a little bit into it, right? If you want like to earn a car and 6 figures, then you're going to put more into it, right? So it started out as just a little, but I paid off that $8,000 in credit card debt by holding 2 appointments a week in my first 4 months. Right. And so that is really what opened my eyes to like, there is more, right? Like I can finance dreams through this business. But it wasn't until I went to seminar, I still was all about just selling the product. Like I didn't get it about like passing the business along and moving up the career path. I didn't get it. My first team member was in July, right before seminar. And she's still with me to this day, 23 years later. So that's kind of cool. But it was when I went to seminar that I was sitting in those stands and I saw national sales directors like you guys walk across the stage and top directors and tell their stories and give God glory. And God gave me a vision right then and there. First of all, I was bawling my eyes out like ugly girl cried, like snot, all the things. Because God was convicting me. He was like, this is the greatest opportunity in the world for women and you are not passing it on. You're not sharing it. How selfish. Right. And then he showed me that what he had actually called me to do is to be a leader in this business and to be a leader like you guys and to step up into that national sales director position. Right. And to stand on that stage and tell my story and give him glory. So that then everything changed. A switch flipped and I saw that I've been called for more. And I think that there are women here that are watching right now, that you feel a calling on your heart for more. You may not know what it is. You may not know, like you may be clueless to what it is, right? Like I was. I had never in a million years would I have imagined that Mary Kay would have been the answer to my prayers, right? Would have been my calling. I thought Mary Kay women had big blue hair, not the gold blue hair, but like the old lady blue hair, and went door to door, wore gobs of makeup. I didn't wear makeup, and went door to door with a little pink box. Like that's what I pictured as a Mary Kay consultant, But maybe you have never imagined that Mary Kay would be the answer to your prayers, or fulfill the calling that God has put on your heart. And maybe that calling may be to be able to work from home so you can raise your babies or your grandbabies. Maybe that calling is to have a platform to impact other women's lives and help them reach their full God-given potential. Or maybe it is to have a makeup ministry like that has happened with all of us, right? Maybe that is it, but you never know unless you try. And I didn't know anything about makeup or skincare or how to teach people how to do it or how to run a business. I didn't know anything about that stuff, but I knew I would never know unless I tried. And Annika, you said that too. You're like, I might as well try, like at least to get my mom off my back, right? So, and honestly, like the worst case scenario is you could get this product for 50% off. I mean, like you get to make 50%, but you also get to shop for yourself for 50% off. So if you're one of those, like those 7 ladies that have been using this skincare and paying your Mary Kay consultant full price for this skincare, maybe this is the eye-opening opportunity for you to say, hey, I can save some money with this. I can make some money with this. And who knows what God has for me in store. And guys, you can literally start your own Mary Kay business. I love how Amy says, you can just see if it's a good fit. Like you don't know if it's a good fit, right, Amy? Like if an outfit is a good fit until you try it on. You don't know. It could be you could look the hottest in that outfit. And you would have never known unless you tried it on. So we are inviting you today to just try it on. Just check it out. Just maybe even just try it for the summer. Lots of people get summer part-time jobs, right? To make a little bit of extra vacay money or whatever, right? And so maybe just try it and just see if it's a good fit. And you can start your own Mary Kay business for as little as $35. None of us started our business for $35. No. It was like $100. And we didn't even get full-size product in our kit. We got little demo tubes, right? Annika and I started around the same time, right? Because I celebrated 23 years in February. Amy celebrated 21 years, Amy?
20.
20 years. Okay. So did you get full-size product in your starter kit, Amy?
I did.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
It switched right after we. So we are just inviting you today to just see if it's a good fit for $35. This is our June boom. Like this is our championship season. This is our Super Bowl. This is our Olympics in Mary Kay, because the end of our fiscal year is the 30th. And all of us, your consultants, mentors, we all have huge goals that we are going for, and you can be part of a winning team and be a part of that by saying yes today. You can also upgrade for $90 and get like $400 worth of product and a cute little bag and all the things if you choose to. But you can start for as little as $35. You get your website, you get your ProPay, which is your credit card processing, and you get us. Like we magically jump out and we're like, here we are. You get your very own business coach and mentor that will give you all the tools you need to be successful and take you every step of the way. And whatever that looks like for you and however God leads you in this Mary Kay business, from sticking your little toe in to jumping head first and being like, I want to be one of those people. Okay. So it's all up to you. So we invite you today to make a decision. And guess what? If you make a decision within the next 24 hours, a yes decision, your Mary Kay mentor will give you a little gift. And so that's really fun. And just in closing, y'all, there are 3 yeses in my life and probably all of our lives that have forever changed my life. 1 was when I accepted Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. 2 was when I said yes to my husband when he proposed to me. And 3 is when I said yes to this Mary Kay business, not knowing what God, never could imagine what God had for me in store, right? And this could be the yes that will forever change your life too. So we invite you to say yes. Let your Mary Kay girl know if you have any questions. And if you're like, yep, I want this to be one of my best yeses. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and make it an on purpose, powerful pink week. Bye-bye.
Yay. Bye, everybody.